What's up, guys? Am I the only one that thinks that's hilarious? The Khabib Nurmagomedov invitation. Hey, what's up, guys? He's at the pressers. Crowd goes wild. My light doesn't want to stay where it's supposed to, so we'll keep it right there. Yeah, some of them days you just wake up on the wrong side of the bed, right? On the wrong side of the bed, right? You like how I do stuff like that? I do. So, I actually, I know this video is not going to be as popular as some of my other videos, but I have to talk about it. It's my boy Dustin Poirier, Charles Oliveira. And we'll even throw a little bit of, we'll sprinkle in some Justin Gaethje because he's getting ready to fight Oliveira. So again, you know, look, sometimes we're allowed to do MMA math, sometimes we're not, sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. But to see how Dustin Poirier beats Justin Gaethje, and then to see how Charles Oliveira beats Dustin Poirier, you know, that's worth something, guys. It is worth something. And the thing that where people get confused about MMA math, right, is like Bobby Green said in Joe Rogan's podcast recently, that there's so many ways to win this chess game. And so if you play enough times, you're gonna lose, right? And that couldn't be more true. And furthermore, that's actually how you get so much better. And there goes the argument of like, how much better could Floyd Mayweather be, or maybe not, had he have lost the fight. Dominic Cruz, man, we're gonna go all over the place here, man. I love it. All right, Dominic Cruz. I listened to his interview on the Wrestling Changed My Life, I believe is what it's called, podcast, and he's talking about that. What was I about to say, guys? That you know, from being such a mediocre, you might say, wrestler in high school. I think he wrestled from the 7th grade to the 12th grade. I only got to wrestle my last 2 years. I was late to join the party. But I could relate so deeply to this concept, is that because he did so poorly, because he mentioned that wrestling, the last question which is asked on every one of those podcasts, The Wrestling Changed My Life, is how did wrestling change your life? And he said, it made me conscious of the doubts that I had of myself. Something along those lines. And what he's saying is like, having all these doubts when he was wrestling and losing these matches, probably because of these doubts, elevated him to another level post wrestling career, to make certain that he does everything in his power to be the absolute best version of himself that he possibly can be, because he recognizes what the opposite of that is, what it does feel like to lose. Floyd Mayweather doesn't know what it feels like to lose, but he most certainly knows what it feels like to win. And I would imagine that that feeling of winning absolutely in the long run outweighs that feeling of a loss. But without a shadow of a doubt, the doubt that you retain from a loss does have the ability to push you further than you could have imagined previously, because that feeling of losing is it sits so uneasy inside of you that you work that much harder to never experience that again. And so where was I going, y'all? Is that you take, the loss that I don't know where the fuck I was going, but Dustin Poirier versus Charles Oliveira, to me, was very telling of how the Justin Gaethje versus Charles Oliveira fight, this is where I was going, is that, again, like, a master chess player has lost thousands of matches, and through those losses, he learned and made a mental synapse connection in his mind of what not to do in that situation ever again, if he wants to avoid losing in that same way. So there's like extreme high value in losing, if you allow it to push you further towards becoming a better version of yourself. Some people take losses and it ruins them. After my first amateur boxing match, my mother told me to take a break from boxing. You know what I mean? I put in a lot of work into the training camp. I was young, dude. I mean, whatever a lot of work is, but I showed up every single day, man. 6 days a week, I think, at the time, for months before having my first amateur fight. And I lost, and my mother had the idea to take a break because of all the work that I put in. Me taking that break evolved into like just kind of like not getting back into the gym, which, you know, I handled that loss a lot differently than somebody who might be in the gym the next day. So I think, just like Aljamain Sterling said in his most recent interview on Ariel Helwani, he says that he had no doubt in his mind that he could beat Petr Yan in this most recent fight. He has the understanding that he could lose in terms of we're wearing 4-ounce gloves and anybody could get knocked out. That's called any given Sunday, right? Anything can happen, but the odds are not in the favor for that happening, right? And so the thing that's continually being brought up about Charles Oliveira is he takes a lot of damage, you know? He's got that, I think it's a Muay Thai style stand-up pose, right? Where he lifts that knee up. I love that shit, bro. I fucking absolutely love that shit. But who said it recently is that I think Joe Rogan and Faraz, fuck guys, give me a break here. Zahabi, GSP's one of GSP's coaches, I think he said that it's such a powerful pose, but there's a give and a take for everything. So because it puts you in a better position to land a strike, this Muay Thai pose, it also puts you in a better position to get hit. And I forgot who they brought up when they were talking about that. Maybe Boss Ruben, I don't know, I forgot exactly. But so Charles Oliveira is willing to take one to give one, and he believes the one that he gives is going to be more devastating than the one that he takes. But even in the Dustin fight, he got wobbled. In the Michael Chandler fight, he got fucking rocked, right? Showed the true heart of a champion. Fucking, you know, there is absolutely nothing wrong with recovering, guys. When Nate Diaz gets rocked by Leon Edwards and falls to his back and welcomes jiu-jitsu, because he just needs to regain, a little bit of his equilibrium, okay? It's called recovery, guys. Colby Covington versus Jorge Masbidal. When Jorge Masbidal had an opportunity to fucking end that fight, because he was so gassed he couldn't press forward, Colby Covington had the opportunity to recover in that moment. And that's a part of fighting, guys. So as opposed to a Clay Guida versus Diego Sanchez, they didn't take the time to recover. They just fucking took the risk of getting knocked out to just fucking put their head down and keep swinging like Donnie Haley in fucking high school. So Charles Oliveira, man, I know he's got a lot of pull because of the Brazil thing, but I wish he was more of a fan favorite, guys. This dude is fucking spectacular, and his journey elevates his story even, his journey elevates his position even more so, from my perspective, because he went through all those losses. The world already counted him out. They already said he's too old. They already said he's too weathered. They already said that he's had opportunities at the title. But guess what? Just like Glover Teixeira, who's the fucking champ? Who's got the belt? Charles Oliveira does. And he's a hard motherfucker to beat, okay? Justin Gaethje has absolute concrete stone hands, fucking TNT in each strike, and for sure can knock Charles Oliveira out. However, again, you guys will have to refresh my memory in the comments, okay? Let's do a little bit of comparison here. I think it took Khabib 4 rounds to get Dustin out of there, okay? It took Charles 2.5, I think. Maybe 3, right at the beginning of the 3rd round. I forget. But I know he finished him before Khabib finished him. And we all know how the fucking Khabib-Justin Gaethje fight went. Come on, guys. That one, honestly, man, it sits so fucking wrong inside of me, and a part of me, you know, because I'm a fucking, you know, because I think outside of the box, I'm like, they got the same management. You know, Justin helped Khabib cut a couple times. They're kind of friends behind the scenes. Like, I don't know, maybe, you know, maybe. And they knew Khabib was going to retire, so it's like, all right, Justin, just go take the L and you're next type of deal, maybe. I don't know. But one thing's for sure, man. And, you know, Justin was like, well, if one person could hold you now, 2 could rape you, and I'll be goddamned if I get raped, right? I don't know, dude, you know? Fucking... And then to think about his level of... Now, here's something to really fucking think about, guys, right? Justin Gaethje is an extremely high-level wrestler from the United States, okay? You know, I think he's Division 1, right, guys? So is Colby Covington, okay? Kamaru Usman's Division 2 collegiate athlete. Now, absolutely, Division 1 athletes are the superior competition as opposed to Division 2, but absolutely also Division 2 collegiate athletes are fucking studs, man. Highest level in the world. And next to Division 1. And Kamaru Usman, Division 2 athlete. Things like that have the ability to push somebody further than the person who was Division 2 athlete, stud his whole life. Everybody fucking sucked on that little cock of his because he was such a good wrestler. They had to talk to him, you know what I mean? Everybody, oh my God, you're so good. Grew up being the stud in his local town, the stud in his state, you know? But then you get to, but then you meet that fucking division that nobody paid any attention to. That he just sat in darkness that whole time watching you, just thinking about, man, one day I'm gonna fucking get his ass. Meanwhile, the other dude's like, hey, nobody gonna get me, dude. I'm hot shit, bro. I'll skip fucking Friday, still show up and whoop that ass. Division 2 dude ain't skipping Friday, man. The Division 2 dude is going 7 days a week, twice on Sunday. You know, 8 days a week, this motherfucker's grinding, okay? And I think it's really important to digest that. And I think that Charles Oliveira, man, just like Alexander Volkanovski, is fucking such a great champion. You know, the way that they wear the belt, I'm in love with it. You know, to me, it's a true representation of a role model, of a male role model. And I absolutely 1000% would push my children and my family to look towards somebody like that, and to potentially follow in some of the footsteps of that man, because they embody the true character of a man. And I think Charles Oliveira is just a fucking stud of a champion. And after this Justin Gaethje fight, there's nothing nobody could say that he's not potentially one of the greatest lightweights of all time, in my opinion. You know, just to see how he's handling adversity in these fights. See, in my opinion, it's not about the dominance as much as it is about the adversity. Imagine Khabib in a fight with adversity, which we haven't seen too much of that, in my opinion. The Conor fight was some adversity that he had to get through. You know, he got tagged by Justin Gaethje, and he got his legs chewed the fuck up. That's adversity, absolutely. But I'm talking about where I don't know, I guess that's an unfair thing for me to say that he didn't have the same amount of adversity, but it certainly seemed like Charles Oliveira and his fights were in a lot more trouble than Khabib was, you know, in his fights. So, and in my opinion, that's what makes these fucking next level competitors, these next level fights, is the Khamzat Chimaev fights versus the Gilbert Burns, the Dan Hookers versus the Dustin Poiriers, the Izzy's versus the Gaslons, fights like the Whitakers versus the Romeros. It's like, those are the fights that, as human beings, we have no choice but to just be extremely attracted to, because it's something innately inside of so many of us, all of us, actually, that we connect to, that fight inside of a human being, that never give up inside of a human being to the death. And so, just like Kamaru Usman, I think that Charles Oliveira deserves a lot more praise. I think obviously the language barrier is a thing, but I should really honestly bet some money on Charles Oliveira. He can't absolutely get knocked out. I think he's got a lot of mileage on his chin. I think Justin does too. I think Justin's ability to absorb a punch might be better than Charles's at this point, but I also do believe that Justin has obviously, rightfully so, he's gotten so much better in the past 3-4 years. Past 3 years, man, his game is just fucking increasingly getting better and better and better. And this is a high-level fight, guys. This is absolutely deserving the two of the best guys in the world going at it, and I'm really excited for it. I fucking love Charles Oliveira. Do Bronx, I'm a fucking big fan, guys, and I think that he walks away with the dub. I think in the beginning of this, I wanted to talk about Dustin and him going through a little bit of trouble with the UFC right now in terms of getting a fight. It's supposed to be him and Nate. The fact that they haven't made that is ridiculous. Obviously, they both want a lot of money, but I was falling off a little bit at the beginning of the year, man. It just seemed it didn't feel good, and I know the bringing in of the new era of fighters is something that has to be, it's just something that's inevitable, but I don't know, something wasn't sitting right with me at the beginning of the year. I kind of lost my zest for the UFC for a short period of time, but right now in this moment, I'm thinking man, what a great time to be part of the UFC, to be a fan of the UFC, because it's just absolute fucking studs in this promotion. So, let's see what you guys think about the Justin Gaethje versus Charles Oliveira. I'd put my house on. The only reason I wouldn't is because any given Sunday, right? They can both get knocked the fuck out. They can both step brother style knock each other out at the same time. But I would put my house on in terms of like a higher level of skill, and it's close, guys. It's close, but I give it to Charles Oliveira. I like Charles Oliveira's style better, where I feel like I'm boxing based. I feel like Justin Gaethje has. I love his boxing. Justin Gaethje. It's tight, compact. The punches are perfect. So is Charles Oliveira, and I think I'm more of a fan of the Muay Thai style than just the traditional boxing, the Peter Yans of the world. So, I guess that's all I got for you guys today. I'll talk to you tomorrow.